Escapism by RAYE and 070 Shake has got to be one of my favorite productions lately, and the element I love the most is the lead synth that plays throughout. So today, let's dive into that. We want to start by opening Serum and leaving oscillator A on the default, so Wavetable. Then let's quickly draw our MIDI, which consists of only one note, an E in octave 6 that plays one bar. Let's then increase the unison to 3, meaning we're basically stacking 3 of these saw waves that play simultaneously when we hit a single note. Now this sounds very detuned and rave-ish, and to mitigate that we want to lower the detune level using this knob, and by doing so we basically decrease the variation in pitch between these 3 different voices of unison. That sounds a lot less crazy. Next, let's turn to our envelope or ADSR window, where we can shape what our sound should do in terms of volume when we hit a key. And what we want to do specifically is set the attack time to about 10 milliseconds, so there's a little bit of a smoothness to the sound when we play a note. We also want to set the sustain to around -1 dB, which makes our sound slightly less loud during the time we hold it. And then the final control we need in this window is the release time, which determines for how long the sound still plays when we release a note. And in this case, we want that to be quite short at around 100 to 125 milliseconds, so our sound doesn't end super abruptly, but also doesn't go on for too long. Let's then head to the filter section and enable the filter, which basically controls how bright or closed off our sound is. Let's set the cutoff to around 3300 Hz and resonance to 20%, which ensures our sound is not as bright anymore. And let's also increase the drive and fat knobs for a little more impact and strength. Okay, let's now go to the Effects tab and enable the Hyper Dimension, which adds some width and dimension to our sound. All we want to do here is set the detune to 44%, the mix level to 32%, and the dimension mix level to 50%. And we're also adding a chorus effect with the feedback set to 23%, the low pass filter to about 9800 Hz, and the mix level to 62% for quite a dramatic chorus effect. So we got the basis within Serum done, and let's now take a look at the notes that should be played, which are E, F sharp, and C. And while we could simply draw these notes in the piano roll, I'm going for a different approach, which is using a pitch bend automation clip, and that approach gives me ultimate control over the way these 3 notes glide into one another. Now, because we already have the E down and because the F sharp is 1 octave and 2 semitones, so 14 semitones in total above this E, we're going to set our bend up to 14 semitones and also do this for the pitch knob range in FL, meaning that when we turn up the plugin's pitch control all the way, it should exactly arrive at the F sharp in the octave above our E. And then we right click this pitch knob range, create an automation clip, and we draw the following shape, which makes our sound start with a very subtle pitch bend, to then bend from E to F sharp around beat 3, and bend from F sharp to C around beat 4. And on this last beat, we want the pitch to slightly rise before we simply repeat our pattern and automation clip again. And with that down, it's time for the final stage within redesigning the Escapism lead, which is the processing or mixing stage. After routing our Serum instance to the mixer, I'm adding an instance of Magma BB tubes by Waves to add a bit of saturation by turning up the beauty knob, which brings it a little more forward. Second, I'm using an equalizer to draw this sort of bell shape that reduces the low end and body as well as the high end of our sound. And importantly, I am automating the gain of this high shelf shape over here, which in its current state makes sure that our sound has less brightness and spark than it had before. Now, the goal of this automation clip is to keep this high-end reduction active during the part where the note E is being played, to then turn this high-end reduction into a high-end boost as soon as we switch to the notes F sharp and C, for which I'm using this automation clip. Now, third and finally, I want to kind of soften or mitigate what we just did to make things sound more subtle, for which I'm using this free plugin called DJM Filter. And specifically, I'm going to impose a low pass filter at around 1600 Hz to again reduce a lot of the sound's high end. But crucially, we still hear the effect of the previous EQ automation clip, as we can tell by disabling and then enabling the high shelf gain automation clip from before. And with that last step done, let's compare our sound before and after applying these three insert effects. And that concludes today's video. If you extracted any value, please leave a like, and also feel free to download the free Serum preset and the FL Studio mixer channel down below. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.